So Battlefield 6 just added a new thing called a casual mode to the game, and it's caused a bit of a storm over on Twitter. So if you guys don't know already, I am pretty active on Twitter, so drop a follow over there so you can stay up to date with my content on that platform. And there's been a bit of a discussion surrounding this new casual mode, so I wanted to drop my thoughts here in a video for you guys today. But before we do that, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications set to all so you can stay up to date with all of the Battlefield 6 content here on the channel. So let's just dive right on into it. So one of the things that's been kind of controversial about Battlefield 6 so far since the launch was the way they've handled Portal. So one of the advertised features of Portal, if you guys remember back when they were marketing Portal before the launch, was that you could actually have bot lobbies and get full XP progression from those sorts of bot Portal experiences. And so many players immediately jumped on the whole making bot farms for XP grinding purposes. A lot of people felt like the XP progression was just slow and they wanted to hurry up and unlock things and play the game the way they wanted to, so they were farming a lot of XP in Portal servers, and there were actually a lot of these servers. Now there was a bit of a split in the Battlefield community over whether or not these servers should have been included in Portal. Some people felt like there were just way too many Portal experiences that were related to bot XP farms. Some people were saying that it's a complete nonsensical thing to even have, because why not just play the game like it's intended to be played? And there's just so many different opinions about this topic. Now personally, I don't mind the fact that there are these bot servers, and I don't think that it's necessarily a problem. At the end of the day, this was one of the advertised features of Portal, and one of the things that encouraged people to actually make Portal experiences was the fact that you could get full XP progression from bots. Whether or not we like that or we don't like that, this was an advertised feature of Portal. So for them to come around and just kind of remove that was definitely weird. I don't personally want to play Battlefield for a PvE experience unless it's something like a Call of Duty Zombies-like mode. Then I can understand why you would want a PvE type of a thing, but this wasn't that. Anyways, Battlefield eventually removed most of these servers, dramatically reduced the XP you could get from bots and things like that, and so this caused a bit of an uproar as well, because many people were saying, well, you told us that we could do this kind of a thing, why are you telling us that we can't? In any case, it's been some time since they've made that decision, and then today, Battlefield Comms over on Twitter posted something about a new mode called Casual Breakthrough. So I'll read for you guys the tweet here real quick. So they said, introducing Casual Breakthrough. We understand that sometimes you want to jump into Battlefield but without the intensity of a full PvP lobby. To create a more relaxed way to play while still earning progression and completing challenges, we're introducing Casual Breakthrough, and this new mode is now live in the main menu under the multiplayer tab. Here's what you can expect from Casual Breakthrough. Smaller player teams, 16 real players, 8 per team, with 32 bot teammates/enemies, 16 per team. Progression, earn career XP, weapon XP, battle pass XP, and complete challenges. Balanced XP, full XP from real player actions, reduced XP from bot actions. Maps, the initial maps available in this mode are Siege of Cairo and Empire State. What Casual Breakthrough won't offer, dog tags and accolades, career stat updates. Let us know what you think of the new mode. We'll be monitoring your feedback to determine if further adjustments are needed in the future. We'll see you there on the battlefield. So the reaction to this casual mode has been pretty mixed, and it really depends on who you're asking in the Battlefield 6 community, be it players, streamers, casuals, it doesn't really matter. From a personal standpoint though, if you're asking me, I don't think that having this sort of casual mode is a bad thing. The reason being is that progression in this game is actually very slow. And if you're just playing on regular games, you might find it a little bit harder to actually progress through weapons, through your levels, through any of these sorts of things without, constant double XPs, boosters. And so when you're trying to fight against other players constantly, it's going to be a lot harder because you're going to be kind of sweating sometimes. And really for people who just don't have all the time in the world to be able to progress through things like the battle pass, like these weapons, they want something that's going to make their life a little bit easier. Because I mean, imagine you've bought the battle pass and you just don't have time to play every single day. You are going to lose out on the stuff that you paid for, and that's really annoying. And most games nowadays, they do this system where if you don't finish the battle pass in time, you just don't get the stuff that you didn't get. I think for people who work, they study, they've got a lot of responsibilities, they've got a family, they've got long hours at work, odd hours. I think that this mode at least provides for them a way to play through something that's more casual, that lets them progress these things without having to constantly worry about playing in full-on multiplayer matches with a lot of other people. Now, my problem with the casual breakthrough mode isn't actually the fact that it exists, it's more like what it's kind of implying in the background. So firstly, obviously we can see that progression is still pretty slow for a vast majority of the player base, people who are more casual, who aren't necessarily looking to sweat constantly and no life the game every single day. There's a lot of people who just have outside responsibilities, they just don't have all the time in the world, and if the progression is so slow that they feel like they need to kind of farm quote-unquote bots, then there's obviously a problem with the way progression is implemented in Battlefield 6. Beyond this though, I guess it's also an issue with the way breakthrough is actually handled in Battlefield 6 because it kind of stems from the issue with the maps, which I've talked about time and time again in my videos, but I do think that the maps are not up to the standard that I was hoping to see in a Battlefield game. Breakthrough feels too intense, too crazy, the bounds aren't correct, so obviously it's going to not feel so right when you're playing, and it's going to be very difficult for people to constantly keep up when you're getting attacked from all angles on the map. Another thing is, I think it's kind of weird that Battlefield removed something that they advertised heavily when it comes to Portal. And you can make the argument that, well, people were just bot trapping and it's not the same as this casual mode, and yes, you would be correct about that, but at the same time, it's part of the advertised features, and if somebody wants to just sit there and trap bots the entire time and farm XP, and if the game allowed them to do that, I don't see why they shouldn't be allowed to do that. And then Battlefield goes and adds an official kind of way to effectively farm bots. Yes, your XP is reduced from bot actions, but you're still competing against bots, so what was the point of affecting Portal servers that way? That's kind of my main question here. And a lot of people say, well, the progression is fine because this game's gonna last a while and you don't have to unlock everything, but the thing is, it takes so long to unlock some of these weapons, and you have people that are getting hundreds of hours in this game already, and people who don't have hundreds of hours in the game, people who just don't have time to put hundreds of hours. And so you're going to have people that are going to be ultimately at a higher advantage because they're able to play for extensive periods of time and unlock more stuff, and then they're going to be beaming the players who don't have this time and don't have that stuff. So I guess the casual mode is an interesting way to bridge removing the Portal servers with just keeping the way the game is. Personally, I think the progression makes sense in a way because the game is a long period of time, but I do think that if people want to do a PvE experience in Battlefield, then they should be able to because that's what was advertised with Portal. So I guess casual is an interesting way to bridge it. It does seem like there is some positive feedback from the more kind of casual player base, but a lot of the more competitive or streamer player base, so to speak, isn't really a fan of this because they don't want bots in a regular multiplayer game. I'm personally not really impacted by this because I wouldn't play this sort of mode, but I don't think that there should be a reason for people to not be able to play this mode, and I don't think that there's a problem with people actually getting access to this mode. I think though that there are some issues that Battlefield needs to address, like the netcode, like the hit registration, like the map sizes, and the way that these modes are set up that I think would make this game significantly more enjoyable. And there's also issues with some bugs and exploits and glitches, and I do think that those things need to be patched as well. And I think overall it will make for a more balanced experience because, let's be fair, there is a huge difference between Battlefield and more competitive FPS games, and this is not a competitive FPS game. This is very much a game that is always known for being fun. So I think bridging that gap is not the problem, but I do think there are underlying issues in this game that should be fixed in order to make it a much better experience. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you're happy with this casual mode or not, what are your thoughts on it, those sorts of things. Leave a like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications set to all so you don't miss out on another upload. And that's all for today, folks.